News here. Big news, serious news. As you can tell, the New York Mets have re-signed Pete Alonso. Polar Bear Bell, one of the best Mets in the history of the Mets, one of the great power hitters, in baseball, has re-signed for a two-year deal. With the Mets, and of course, I've been saying all along he was going to re-sign. Once Steve Cohen had spoken, once Steve Cohen had talked about this whole situation, the word was that once that happened, he was going to sign. Pretty obviously to me, I don't know about anybody else. It was very obvious they were going to sign. They were going to sign him because he kind of felt, I guess, guilty. He felt guilty, I guess, about what was going on. He knows the way things had not gone the way he wanted it to. He was not happy, obviously, how he was portrayed and the media. Hello, Peter. Call South tomorrow. But Peter, I would mention, we'll talk about that in a little while. But we now have a big-time lineup. As you can tell, I got my polar bear hat on, which I haven't worn in a few weeks. Sort of, it's been in hibernation as these talks were. And I'll probably take this off, and it is awfully hot underneath this thing. But he's back with the Mets, and hopefully he'll stay here. But this is a big lineup now, boys and girls. This is a big-time lineup. People posting this. Get this. I don't know if I would do this, but Lindor, Soto, Vientos, Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, Jesse Winker, Francisco Alvarez, Jeff McNeil. Awesome. Hello, Anthony Guido. Hello, Mike. Please, of course, like this video and the live stream. I'm not going to go on for too long. This is big news here at the baseball hut. Let me take my polar bear hat off. It's getting a little hot under here. But yes, the Mets have signed Pete. Big news. And for 2 years, $54 million. The first year will be for 30, and he has an opt-out, and then he'll have another $24 million for 2026. Okay, this is some of the from Mike Meyer. He's got some of the details. 2-year deal. 2-year deal, $54 million, $30 million the first year, and an opt-out. $10 million signed bonus and no deferred money. Oh, look at that. Hello, Paul Chadwick. How you doing? So the Mets have re-signed the polar bear, thankfully. It would have been very awkward. And it was very awkward, I'm sure, at the Fan Fest, an amazing day last week when they didn't have Pete there. Once the owner spoke up, that was pretty much it. And that's when I felt the Mets were going to bring him back. I can't tell you how happy I am. Look, Mike, I don't think that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is realistic. I don't think he's going to sign anywhere but the Blue Jays. But let's worry about this year, okay? Let's worry about this year. Silly Mazzilli, how you doing? Great names. Yes, the Mets now have a big lineup, a very big lineup. I got to think about what kind of lineup the Mets should have here. Let me take a look again. So I need to think about this because I haven't really thought about what kind of lineup the Mets should have for this year. Underdog MLB has this on. An irresistible chicken sandwich. Tiago Gomez. The family members texting me. You just send him. Just let him know I'm live. Family's very important to me. Most important thing. But hello, Jeff K. Yes, so the Mets have re-signed Pete. So let me go through this lineup. Now, I've said for many years, for the last few years, that Francisco Lindor was basically miscast as a number 3 hitter. And he's not the 3 hitter anymore. He is a great leadoff hitter. And that's what he should have been hitting all along. But he's going to be the leadoff hitter. I would put, who would I put second? It's a tough one. I wonder. You could put Soto second. You could put Soto third. See, I like the left, right balance, you know. That's the one thing I do like a lot. I don't like this sort of the way Underdog MLB has it. You know, you get all these lefties together, all these righties together. Let me look at this. Lindor, Juan Soto. I say Lindor, Vientos, Soto, Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, batting fifth. I think he's more of a middle of the order hitter now than he was early in his career. Fifth to sixth, I think he's good from where he is now. Alvarez bat him sixth. Winker seventh. Jeff McNeil. They get Jeff McNeil and Siri, but Siri, I want to sort of say this. Siri is not a great hitter. I kind of look at Siri as a guy that, and the Mets still have Tyrone Taylor, so they can kind of mix and match them. I wouldn't mind Jeff McNeil. A bat in ninth, because you want a guy that has a little speed. I mean, Siri does too, but you bat Siri eighth. That's how I look at it. Yeah, I mean, that's a good lineup, boy. That top four is pretty damn good. They're gonna score a lot of runs, that team. The big thing is, and again, like I've been saying on my videos, how important Pete is, not just in terms of protection, but in terms of taking a lot of pressure off of Vientos. Having that veteran home run hitter in the middle of the lineup is a great protection, and it's insurance, just in general. Jeff K says, yeah, Nimmo fifth is good, but not sure if Vientos is a two hitter. But the way they do lineups now, it's a little bit different. They want to put pressure on early in the game. So I don't have a problem with that. We've seen Pete bat second. We've seen, I didn't like McGuire was batting second at some point. That's not a big deal. Plus, it gives them the opportunity to get up more bats. So, and he'll have protection with Soto. He'll have a big year. But again, having Pete here takes a lot of pressure off of Vientos. That's why this deal is so important. It's a domino effect in general. And I never thought that he wasn't coming back. I might at some point, I don't know, but I was pretty confident. He didn't want to go. Nobody wants to play for Canada other than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And like I've been saying, I think Guerrero Jr. is going to stay in Toronto. His father didn't like being in the big city, being in the limelight. He doesn't either, He doesn't have the sort of like outgoing personality that Soto has. Soto wants to be in the spotlight. I think that's kind of one of the many reasons he came here, is he wanted to be in the spotlight. He could have went to some small team taking less money. He didn't do that. This is a great night. It really is a wonderful night for the Mets and for us fans, because now we get to see a great, great lineup, at least for this season. And you hope Pete has a big year, and hopefully, some of this pressure will come off, because he's been dealing with a lot of pressure with the contract last year. And I want to thank the New York Yankees, our new minor league team up in the Bronx, for preparing Juan for this year and for the next 15 years. We don't have to worry about him not being able to play here. As you know, a lot of players can't handle New York when they've been in smaller markets. And I want to thank the Yankees. I want to thank Aaron Boone, the Mets AAA manager, and I want to, of course, thank our minor league owner of the Yankees, Hal Steinbrenner, for not being able to match the deal. I thank you, sir. And of course, I want to thank really Aaron Judge for dropping that fly ball so we can make fun of the Yankees and their fans, which is wonderful. But yeah, this is a good night. And a lot of excitement going into spring training. And people, and here's the thing, there's not going to be this sort of, it's not going to be this sort of nonsense about awkwardness at all. I know that Sal Licata has said that. That's not going to be the truth. That's not anywhere in any kind of reality. The players don't care. But I would mention, someone had mentioned this, what's going on. This is SNY breaking news. What are they talking about here? Let's see. They got the backups on tonight. Eamon McEnany. Crystal Presti, they got all the backups right now. But at least let's get Pete Alonso back on a 2-year deal. He had an option. He had an option either to take a 3-year deal with the Mets or a 2-year deal. He took the 1-year deal. I mean the 2-year deal, which is really a 1-year deal with the opt out. And I don't know about you folks, but I'm very pleased tonight because the ownership came through. Because they know, and David Stearns came through. This was annoying for a lot of people. It wasn't annoying for your hosts. It wasn't an easy situation. It was a very difficult situation with this contract. But the Mets got the guy that they wanted back. And I can't be any happier. So it's a 2-year deal. $30 million the first year with an opt out, which makes him the highest paid first baseman. There's no deferrals, and 24 for next year. So he's basically making the most money in a 2-year span for a first baseman. So he got what he wanted in terms of money. And they offered him a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal. He's the 2-year deal. Hold on, he drink. Look. I didn't think any of the options that were being discussed were any good, quite frankly. I know they talked about Torkelson. I didn't think that was a good idea. Before we get on that, it was a 3-year, $71 million deal the Mets offered him. So that was the deal. Interesting. But again, please, before I forget, hit the like button. Yeah, so I wasn't all that enamored with the options. Like Torkelson, I was like, he hasn't played well in the majors. What was the other guy? What was the other guy we talked about? I don't even remember now. Sal Licata is on TV now. The phony, he must be eating his words. Hello, Stony814. Sal, eat your words. Eat your words. Eat your words, Spaz. Eat your words. Oh, Mountcastle, thank you. There's so many things that goes on here. And I thank you. Yeah, it was Mountcastle. He was okay. There was talk about Anthony Rizzo the last day. Oh my God. Ridiculous. Hello, Cosmo. Cosmo's in the house. How you doing? Yeah, so some of the names that we were hearing were not great. I know they were talking a lot about Justin Turner. I would still bring him in here anyway. They might not do that now with bringing in Madrigal, but maybe I'd be less inclined on Turner now that I think about it. But Sal Licata, eat your words. Eat your words. Jay says, thank you, Steve. Absolutely. But But, the Mets signing him, I'm very happy because I'm a big fan of his. Been a big fan of his since he really, his first spring training in 2019, if you remember, crushed a home run. And he's been doing that for the last 6 years. And now we have him for a full season with this lineup of Lindor and Soto and him in it. That is pretty damn good. That's smoking. That's a lot of home runs. It's a lot of runs being scoring, being driven in. Just incredible. Amazing. So, ding, ding, ding. Thank you, Cosmo. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Whenever you send me a super thanks or super chat, you get the bell and acknowledgement and a heartfelt thank you. Even though I'm grumpy, and even though I tell them speak the truth, and people get mad when I do that, I appreciate it. Believe me. But I would mention we have memberships here, and I don't care what I say in the. I think somebody got a little annoyed with me. It was a member left, but I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. If you follow me on X, I do a lot more stuff on X, and I find a lot of different things on X tonight. Jeff K says Beatty and another piece or two for a pitcher would complete the offseason. I wouldn't say this was a failed offseason that they brought back Pete Alonso. Even if they didn't bring in Soto, it wouldn't have been a failure. That's what I figured out. I thought it was interesting about Soto over the last few days that the Mets had offered him $400 million on the initial offer. And that did not go over well. The Mets told him did not go well because they basically told the Mets that they were in last. I have a friend who's actually in the sports industry. She sent me a picture. What the hell did he send me? But in the meanwhile, please, of course, like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut if you're coming by for the first time. Let me see if I can get in here. We got some great people in the chat tonight. Got Cosmo, and we got the Irresistible Chicken Sandwich, Stony 814, a whole bunch of other great people that my friend sent me. Let me see what he sent me. But Michael Kelly, America's team, the polar bear is back. That's right. Never forget that. The polar bear is back, and this is America's team. Never, ever forget that. Let me see what my friend sent me. Now, please, of course, again, like this video. See what he sent me. All right. I'm going to have to check it out after the live stream, but I got a friend, he's in the sports industry. I think he sent me a picture of him with Pete Alonso. But, yeah, so the Mets have the polar bear back. They have Soto. We got Lindor coming back. He seems to be healthy. We'll keep an eye on Nimmo and that foot. I've had plantar fasciitis. It can come and go. It's a very painful ailment. I've had them in both feet. And they just come and go. They come and go during the day. I had that for about a year, one foot, and then it went away. And then it appeared in the other foot, and then that went away. And I haven't had it in almost 2 years. He could have this ailment for a few years, and be playing on it. Certainly was suffering through the playoffs, but he should be okay. I'm not an athlete, or I used to be. But, yes, this is a very good lineup now. Powerful lineup. A lot of punch in it. A lot of punch. And now we have, let's see. And this is just from Jeff Passan. Also about the deal. MLB's posting all kinds of stuff about the polar bear. And again, if it wasn't for the Mets, if it wasn't for Pete, the Mets would not have gone to play the Dodgers. I mean, the Phillies, because he hit the biggest home run, one of the biggest home runs in postseason history. No one's ever hit a home run in the ninth inning on the road and a deciding game to win a game. That's never happened, ever. And even though he had a lousy season in 2024, by his standards, he came through in the big spot. He came through in the big spot, and we can't push it away. What he's meant to this team. He's been the Mets' most popular player, more popular than Lindor for all these years. He's always made it very clear that he loves the fan base. He loves us. The fans love him. There isn't going to be any kind of awkwardness with us or with him or with his teammates. That is all nonsense. Now, I was doing a lot of work here at the house today, and I don't listen. It's weird where I live. The signals aren't great here, and my radio is not great. Can't pick up WFAN signal. But apparently, a caller called WFAN. I don't know if this is true. Excuse me. But somebody let me know just a little while ago that a caller called the Sal and Brandon Tierney show and basically mentioned me and said that I've been talking all kinds of stuff about him. I've been talking about him for over a year. And Spaz called me out. Now, I've not heard this clip, so I don't know if this is true. Once I find that clip, I will record it. And at some point, he said, if I have guts, I will call. Now, this has nothing to do with what the Mets did tonight, but it has a lot to do with Pete. Because Pete's a great player, he's a great Met, and Sal's been on his case for over a year. And this is where a lot of this comes from, this tension. And I can spike the football. Now, I work a lot. I had to find the clip first. If you guys can find the clip and you're on X, please let me know where it is on their show from today. Before I was going to do this, before this live stream popped up, I was trying to find it on my computer. And but when Pete signed, I was listening to it on my phone, but the show's unlistenable. But just wanted to mention that. And the thing is that I don't want to have to criticize them, but they went after the Mets, and they've been going after the Mets for so many years. Okay, and I think a lot of it's been very unfair. That's where a lot of this comes from. And Sal has made himself a target, a subject, a topic here, because he's all over the place. And for the longest time, he has said nothing up until last week on SNY. The last couple of days, he's been basically saying the Mets should walk away, that they shouldn't do this. On there. Oh, I'm not giving up. Guys, don't worry, I'm not giving up. And I will call them. But like I said, the signals aren't great here where I am. It's like in the middle of nowhere. Well, it's not in the middle of nowhere, but where I live, the signal sucks. But I am not one to back down. And I would mention, when Spaz went after Wardy on X a year and a half ago, he didn't say anything to me. And he backed down to Wardy, basically laid down for Wardy. Gave him his belly. And that said it all. And he didn't say anything to me. And I went after him pretty hard. Because that's outside the lines. That's not YouTube. That's why I kind of did that. And then do with make myself look big in anybody's eyes. Because, like I've said, the other YouTubers are my competitors. But outside the lines, a little different. But anyway. So the Mets have Pete Alonso back. A friend of mine was telling me they're not going to sign him. It's going to be awkward. Another one was awkward. I got to throw in his face when I get a chance. I was saying for a long time he's going to come back. And as the teams were picking up, the only player I thought would have replaced Pete was Christian Walker. That was the one guy that I thought would be the perfect guy of all the first basemen that were out there. The only drawback with him, he's 33. He's older. But his offense has been going up for the last few months, the last few years of his career. That was the guy I thought was going to come to the Mets. But once he saw Houston, I didn't think that wasn't going to happen. But this is a big situation tonight. I can't tell you how happy I am. The hell's my thing? I can't tell you how happy I am. If you're happy, give me a like for the video. And again, we'll go for a few more minutes. Hold on a second. Let me see something. All right. Got my list here of players. So I could put down that Pete sign back at the Mets. And he was really the big free agent, the real big free agent here. That was still looming. I think next guy's Alex Bregman. We'll see what he... No, that's the old emoji, Stoney. That's the sad one. That's the sad, pathetic Met fan emoji. We don't do that emoji anymore. You can do that. It's pretty funny. That's a great emoji, by the way. But that's a great way to show the derision in the chat. I love that emoji. I love that. That's my favorite one. But really, the next big free agent now is Alex Bregman. And again, another thing. Alonso coming back to the Mets means that it takes so much pressure of Mark Vientos that he doesn't have to put all this pressure on him now to be the big right-handed bat in this lineup. It means a lot that he doesn't have to carry that load, because I thought he already has a lot of pressure on him to repeat what he did last year, and he's going to have a full season to do it. Now, your host has not mentioned this. I've been very concerned when the season was over that he'd been sort of gallivanting around, sort of socializing, being out there a little too much. But then when I saw him in Port St. Lucie back in December with Lindor, I was like, he's back on track. But he likes to sort of gallivant around. You got to push that down. We know he had a big season last year, but he only had about 300-something at-bats. We want to see him do it again. And we don't want him putting a lot of pressure on himself, because this is going to be a big year for him. And having Pete back takes a lot of that pressure away from him. And that's the one thing I'm really happy about more than anything. That way he could just be another bat in the lineup and have another year to develop. And keep him at third, where he's an elite third baseman. He's not a first baseman trying to learn the position. He's a third baseman. So, and that's what he is. It's from John Harper. I wonder if he got this tweet from a scout. He's always talking about the scouts that told him. Not buying any notion that hard feelings will impact Alonso. Will be highly motivated to prove he deserved the long-term mega deal. With opt-out incentive. And pulling down 30 mil and 25 a superstar AAV. Yes, look at these wonderful emojis. If you are a member of the channel, get these emojis. I should do a Salicata emoji. Now that I think about it. That would be great. You know, maybe that would be awesome. Now that I think about it, you know. It'd be the spaz emoji. Yeah, that's a good idea. Brilliant ideas come to me all the time. I don't usually tell people them, but that sounds like that's a good idea. I should have that as an emoji. Salicata emoji. and a coconut emoji too. There's no real emoji for a spaz. There is for a coconut, obviously. You've got the coconut. Boy, that's a good idea. Thank you, Stoney. I appreciate it. Yeah, so Alex Bregman, where's he going to go? Well, we were hearing a lot of Boston, Detroit, Houston the last few days. I guess that would cross the Mets. I think I already had the Mets crossed off. Now, here's a line that SNY is putting out. Let me see their lineup. Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Vientos, Nimmo, Marte, Alvarez, McNeil. These guys, who are these people that are coming up with these lineups, man? No balance. Switch hitter, left-handed hitter, two right-handed hitters. Left-handed hitter, two right-handed hitters, left-handed hitters. It's all over the place. Guys these people don't know how to do lineups. My goodness. Lindor, Vientos, it's just off the top of my head. Lindor, Vientos, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo, Alvarez, Winker / Marte, Siri, and McNeil. And the thing about McNeil, I wonder now if McNeil's going to get moved. If the Mets will eat that contract. And I wonder what's going to happen with Marte. I know there's not much of a market for them, but with the extra $30 million on the payroll, I wonder what the Mets are going to do at this point. How they're going to handle this. John Heyman, Mets Winter's a home run now. It was a home run before this. Now it's a grand slam. Now, I wouldn't mention. Got to do well in the season. It's not about winning the off season. It's about winning the season now. And this puts him in a very good position now to possibly win the division. Because before they signed him, Dakota had said that the Mets were going to win 89 games and the Braves were going to win 92. Peter says, you should call the show now that Pete signed. You know what, Peter, you're right. Now, hopefully, I got people working here tomorrow, believe it or not. They're painting my living room. And I don't know if I could do it tomorrow. Ramon says, now trade for Dylan Cease. That's not up to me. That'd be interesting. But they want Acuna. You want to see the Mets trade Acuna? I don't think you want him to trade Acuna, Ramon. Because that's what it's going to take. That's what the rumor is. That they want Acuna. Do you want to trade Acuna? I don't think you do. I know I don't. Now, I did a video earlier today talking about the Mets farm system. There are real issues there. Okay. They're not a top-ranked farm system. They're like number 12. I've seen about 15 with them. It's not. There's no big elite players in it. There's no number one starters in it. Sprout, who could be who's the Mets' best prospect right now, could be a number 2 starter at best. Christian Scott, who they missed with the injury. The Mets really got hit hard with the injuries last year in the farm system, specifically with their position players. Also, this also takes a lot of pressure over Ronnie Mauricio to make this team. Because I know a lot of people were already saying, play him at third. He hasn't played at all. And he still is rehabbing that knee. So that's going to ease him into spring training. They're going to ease him into the season. So this takes pressure off of him to put pressure on himself to play. So this is such a great move. There's so many positives to this situation that you can't just sort of, dismiss this now. Let me see this again. Now this is stuff from the Boris Whisperer, a.k.a. John Heyman. If you don't know, John Heyman is the Boris Whisperer, where he'll talk to Boris and Boris will give him every scoop, every exclusive. But he wasn't the first to have this. The first person to have this with Pete was little Andy Martino of SNY. Hold on, I need a drink. Yes, he was the first. Yes, little Andy. Little Andy, who was blocked your host on X because they called him an asshole 3 years ago when he said that process was more important than winning a World Series. And then backtracked it a couple of days later saying he didn't mean what he said. I wonder when he said that that the deal with the Blue Jays was on the 10-yard line and that it was going to happen. I don't think he realized that there was going to be the running back. The running back got tripped at the first yard line. Ramon says they could have had Kumar Rocker. He didn't want him. The guy had an injured arm. They shouldn't have drafted him to begin with. It screwed up that whole 2021 draft. Let's not go to the past, okay? Let's not go. There's no turning back the clock. You don't turn back the clock in life. You're gonna turn back the clock with that. And of course, because it wasn't on the 10-yard line, the ref threw a flag when it came to Pete Alonso signing with the Blue Jays. It was in review for the longest time. And of course, the ref said, back to the New York Mets. Now people are saying, you got to leave little Andy alone. He's human. He's an asshole. And he's not a great co-worker. Yes, I am the godfather. I'm not just the godfather of Hut. I'm the godfather of baseball. I'll never go against the family, Stoney. It's the same thing with Pete. Pete, I'm going to make Peter an offer he can't refuse, that's what I did. I said, either your name's going to be on this, or your brain's going to be on it. No, I didn't say that. But I would mention, Pete doesn't spend a lot of time on Long Island. He does have a home here with his wife. So they spend a lot of time here on Long Island. In fact, I think they were at were they at Raw? He was at Raw a couple weeks ago. And a family member of mine got married a couple of years ago. And he ran into him right after he got married. And then forgot to tell me. And he's like, Uncle Hut, I met Pete Alonso in the hotel we were staying in. He does not text me tonight. I don't know what he's thinking. My other relative, he texted me just a little while ago, but is when I'm gonna make Peter an offer he can't refuse. We don't want this Mountcastle guy. We don't want Spencer Torkinson here. We don't want that goofball Justin Turner. Or this guy that could have been on some kind of, PEDs with Marlon Byrd. Yeah, we wanted Pete back, and he's back. That's one of my better impressions, by the way. Trying to get some other impressions for the channel, but that's my best one. I got other ones. I don't know if I could do them here. I don't know if it works for that. But now we got Gary Cohen on. What's he got to say? Yeah, I would say this about the Mets pitching. Even though they're not elite pitching in the minor league system, we saw how well they pitched last year and how they were able to get guys that haven't been healthy, haven't pitched well in the past few years, and they got them really to take a step forward. Shomania pitched great. Luis Severino pitched great. Jose Quintana does what Jose Quintana does. It'll be interesting to see how the Mets are able to sort of continue the development of Shomania from where he was before he got here, and really until June and July when he changed his style. Be interesting to see how he's able to respond this year. And with guys like Clay Holmes, who is a project, but he has been an all-star as a reliever. He has been a guy that has been a starter in the past in the minor leagues. He has 6 major league starts. He will be a guy to keep an eye on because how the Mets handle his innings this year, it'll be interesting to see how he is. I never thought that he was a closer because I saw a lot of him with the Yankees. I used to make fun of him a lot because he used to. That game 2 years ago against the Marlins when the Yankees had that big lead in the ninth inning, they brought him in and he blew the 5-run lead. That was like the funniest moment I could have. I thought that was hysterically funny. But I want to see how he pitches as a starter because I was not impressed with him. I was not impressed with him as a reliever because he looked kind of nervous about it, He looked kind of scared. He was scared, from what I could say. So that's why it'll be interesting to see for me how he responds. And obviously we got Frankie Montas, which I'm not too pleased about. I'm not too pleased with that, to be honest with you. Because I thought they could have done a little bit better. But he's going to be a 5th starter on this team, I would think. This is from Tim Healy. Pete Alonso was a missing link in the Mets lineup, which now looks loaded in the top half-ish. And if Francisco Alvarez takes a step forward, Jesse Winker, Starlin Marte are a good DH platoon. Jeff McNeil bounces back. They'll be an offensive force. True. And I think Acuna's going to get a lot of playing time here. He's going to get a ton of playing time. I never believed that they were going to put him at third. I don't believe that. He'll be playing second mostly, filling in his shortstop and playing the outfield. But to get back to the pitching. The thing is that I've heard this about Griffin Canning, that the Mets look at him as sort of a guy that has big potential. Now I don't know where he stands in terms of the depth chart, but the Mets look at him as a guy that could be an ace if they were able to sort of tap into his potential, because he was a number 1 pick. There was a guy that had a lot of people had a lot of hopes on him in Anaheim. So it'll be interesting to see how he is. I saw him last year when he pitched against the Mets. He was nothing special. I was not impressed with him. Didn't really stand out to me. But it'll be interesting to see how he is in spring training and once the season starts, where they have him. I'm pretty confident in the Mets pitching because of what we saw last year. And I kind of think that, I know it's David Stearns, that he likes developing his pitching. I don't think he likes to sign players to any length of more than 3 years if you're a pitcher, just based on age. Now, he was willing to go 7, 8 years or whatever it was for Yamamoto last year, basically because he was 25 years old. I think they would have they would have given him a 6-year contract. He would have been a minor leaguer, but with Suzuki's a different story. But anyway, this is going to be a great season, and it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a fun lineup, and they got a great manager to put this together. They got a great front office. I did see that Evan Longoria had spattered off, and why he spattered off, he said that this Met clubhouse is not going to get along. I don't know where he got that from. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a problem in that clubhouse. But we'll keep an eye on that just based on a player. But he's not in the Met clubhouse. Now, people are saying about Jose Iglesias. Iglesias' time is done with the Mets. They brought in a younger player to take over for him. They will put him in the minor leagues. He's got Magical has a split contract. I don't get too worked up about these guys at the back end of the roster. and neither should you, in my opinion. But Iglesias is 35 years old. Do you really want to give the guy a year, give him like twice the amount of money, and production is less? And they didn't give up a lot of money for Madrigal, and the upside, and that's how I knew, before I forget, that's how I knew that the Mets were going to re-sign Pete, was because they signed Madrigal. Because Madrigal can play third. He's a good defensive player, and and they'll bring him in late for defense if they have to. But he'll have to make the team, though. He's going to have a big spring to make the team. Because Acuna has a leg up on him. But the Mets will not have a backup third baseman. Unless Acuna plays third. Acuna will be the backup shortstop. But how much playing time he gets and whether he still has to make the team, too. Hold on, any drink, Luke. These sound effects are brought to you by the Baseball Hut. Let me see what's going on. Let's see what let's see. Okay. This is from the Boris Whisperer, John Heyman. Pete followed the shorter-term opt-out playbook of Snell, Chapman, Correa, Bellinger, Snell. We said Snell. Snell, Chapman, and Correa wound up scoring big the next winter. That's funny. All those guys are... It's funny. All those guys are Scott Boras guys. I mean, it's basically saying, hey, man, he's on the 10. Pete's going to sign with the Mets. Okay. Stephen Lennon says, how much per year? The first year is $30 million. He has an opt-out. And the second year is for $24 million. So it's a 2-year deal. I wish they'd given him... Well, I was talking with Stoney earlier, and he mentioned Jose Reyes. I saw Jose Reyes on SMY tonight. Great guy. Miss him, watching him play. But he had said he would love to see Pete sign a 5-year deal. They weren't going to give him a 5-year deal. And he also said something interesting. This is Jose Reyes. He said that tonight that the Mets never offered him any kind of contract. They thanked him for his time here and they let him walk. This is why the Wilpons were such assholes, and Sandy Alderson had such a terrible way about him, Squandered a lot of years here as a general manager. Squandered so many years. Squandered the prime years of David Wright. And squandered an opportunity to hold on to Jose Reyes. That was the biggest mistake one of the bigger mistakes of his tenure, bigger than Daniel Murphy, in my opinion. Because Reyes was still a very viable player when he left. Still a very good player. Jose had a good year with the Marlins the following year, and then he went to Toronto. He wasn't happy. But the thing about Jose is that the Mets didn't trade him before the trading deadline that year in 2011, and they let him walk. But meanwhile, they traded Beltran. And none of the stuff that they did those years made sense, and they wasted all those years of David in his prime before he really got injured with his back, and just didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. They didn't do anything those years. And I don't care what they say about the this whole thing with Madoff. They just that's the problem with being a mediocre team. Is that you have players that are in their prime, and you're screwing up their prime years for mediocrity. That was one of the things that I was concerned about going into last year, was that they had guys like Lindor and Alonso in the middle of their prime years, and they were squandering it. Hello, SDO74, Hob Abreu. So I was very concerned about having these guys on the team when they're in the middle of their prime, and you're wasting the prime years of these players. And they're great players and very good players. That's the one thing about having a mediocre team. Now, the Mets aren't a mediocre team, but the mediocrity and the horrible play we saw in 2023, it didn't bode well for last year. Now, they're going to have this, I guess, that's yearbook next year. I mean, next week, excuse me. Uh, and that's going to be fun because now you're going to have Pete there at the end. They showed him in the sort of the commercial for it, where he's at the end. That says a lot. Riddle Me Little Production says Soto will probably have a better year now that Pete's back. I think it doesn't matter with him. I don't think this whole thing about protection. The only number I saw that was an increase from 2023 and 24 with Soto with the home runs. The RBIs were the same. The on base was the same. The real effect you'll have with the numbers will be RBI totals behind him. It is going to be very imperative the guys that bat behind Soto drive him in. Okay, Pete has to have a big year because those are free runs that Soto's going to give you with his walks. He walks a lot. So his on base is about 430 every year. So he's going to get on base a ton for the Mets. So the idea, folks, that it's all about the protection for Soto. The most important thing with the Mets with Soto is that Soto gets driven in. You don't want him having a high on-base percentage and he doesn't score 100 runs. He led the American League in runs scored last year. And that can't be sort of discounted. So that's why it's so important that the Mets... it's Little Andy on TV now. Little Andy. That's Andy Martino if you don't know. Riddle Me Little Production says Lindor will be better this year, in my opinion. How could he be any better than last year? And I've been thinking about this a little bit. Was last year his career year? I hope not. I would hope that the Mets don't play him so much, that he gets a little more rest. With Acuna here, maybe, and he stays, maybe you give him some days off. He does play a lot of games. Lindor needs... See, I'm happy about Lindor. I was very hard on him. And I love the fact that he had such a big season last year and had so many big hits, so many big plays. How he has not won a Gold Glove here is beyond me. He should have won at least 3 Gold Gloves in the years he's been here with the Mets. That's how great he's been defensively, especially the second year and last year too. But my concern with him is that last year was a career year offensively, and I was at Philadelphia when he came out of the game because of his back. I was behind the plate, so when I saw that, I knew something was wrong because he kind of went into second base awkwardly, and then he came out of the game. But he should not be playing nearly as much. Pete plays a lot. Pete plays every single game. Played 160 games last year. Doesn't get hurt. Never gets hurt. Never gets hurt. It's a tough guy. That's the one thing about Alonso. He plays every day. And he is going to break the Mets all-time home run record this year. He's 26 away. So he could get there by maybe by end of July. So that's a big thing. A Real Me Little Production says Mark Vientos will go for 40 home runs. Who knows? He looked great in the regular season and the postseason. Well, we'll see. He has to keep that approach of going up the middle. Keep that approach of going to right field. Use the whole field. Do what Beltran told him to do last year. Use the whole entire field. If he starts pulling again, he's going to struggle. Now, I would mention when the Mets drafted him, coming out of the draft, that he was considered a very good hitter with big power. That was the big thing with him. That power was good, but the ability to hit was a very good tool that he had. And he was the youngest player in the 2017 draft. He was the Mets' second round pick that year. That's number one pick that year was David Peterson. That's another guy we can't got to keep an eye on, is how David Peterson's going to pitch this year, due to the fact that he's now going to be playing a full season, pitching for a full season for the Mets. That he pitched really great for the Mets, and it'll be interesting to see how he's able to do it for an entirety of the season. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But he has to stay healthy. And showing all kinds of Pete home runs here. This is great. 26 to go. 26 home runs to go, folks. And that home run now of Alonso hitting the ball off of Devin Williams means more now. If he had left, it would have been very kind of tough to deal with. Would have been tough to deal with. Oh, I need drink. Look. But now he's back. And we're all happy. For the most part, I think. If I had the time tomorrow, maybe I'll call WFN. And maybe spike the football. But like I said, I have people here tomorrow painting the house. So, but we'll see. Friday I have to work, and Saturdays they don't work. Sundays they don't work. But at some point I will have to find that clip of Sal Licata on WFN calling your host out, because I've been making fun of him. Talking about him on YouTube. My YouTube videos on WFN do pretty well. I'm starting to make a little more money off of them, which makes me very happy. And you should get subs off. I lost a sub today. I don't know how. Riddle Me Little Production says, hey, what do you think about the cease trade talks? Where do you think they stand right now? Well, what do I think about that? I wouldn't mind having him here. He'd be pretty good at the top of the rotation. Gives him more of a legit number one starter. But the Mets are not willing to give up Rougned Acuna, from what the rumor is. Do you want the Mets to give him up? And they're very high on him. I don't know. For a 1 year guy. And if the Mets make a trade like that, are they going to give him a big contract? He's 29 years old. He'll be 30 years old next year. Would David Stearns give him a 7-8 year deal? I doubt it. And like I was saying earlier, he likes to develop his own starters. He likes to develop his own aces. He developed Woodruff. He developed Corbin Burns. And I would mention this. I don't think anyone else has mentioned this. Edwin Diaz has an opt-out after this year. Okay? Edwin Diaz has an opt-out. And if Edwin has a big year, he's going to opt out. And I expect him to have a better year, too, by the way. But I wonder if the Mets will just walk away from that. Because he's 31 years old now. Now he has 2 more years on his contract. And an opt-out, an option. If I believe, let me look this up. Now, in the meanwhile, please like this video and subscribe. And if you will, send a donation to the channel, and a donation in the form of a super chat. It's a way to get a new computer. I just want to do this on my phone. It's a lot easier. When I do it on stream, it takes forever. The hell I go to the Mets page for? The hell's mad at me? So the Mets re-signed Pete Alonso on a 2-year deal for $54 million, $30 million the first year, and 50 and 24 the second year. No an opt out, but no deferred money. So for this year, he's the highest paid first baseman. Let's take a look at Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz last year was 6-4 with a 3.52 ERA, 20 saves. He'll be much better this year, I think. Even though he struggled at times, I always felt very confident in him. I think in May and June I was very down on him, but he doesn't have any fear, which is very nice to see. Let's see. Computer's so slow. This is why I need a new computer. Okay. So he has a 3-year deal, 23 to 25. Okay. He has an option for this year after this season. This is Edwin Diaz. 26, 27, 28. They're player team options. So it's a 6-year deal that he signed with the Mets. Let me scroll down a little bit. Now, he's a great reliever and pitched great in 2022. His best season in the majors. I expect him to have a big year this year. Just due to the fact that he's not on a bad knee. He's a year past that knee injury. Let me see. I thought his postseason was okay, to be honest with you. Just looking on Baseball Reference, look at his contract situation. All right. Let's see. So this year he's making $21.5 million for the Mets. He has an opt-out. He's got 2 opt-outs. An opt-out after this year and an opt-out after next year. And then in 2028, the team has an opt-out with the $1 million buyout. So he's been with the Mets. This will be his 6th season with the Mets. 6 years. Been here a long time now. The next 2 years he'll be making $18.5 and $18.5 if he doesn't opt out. And then $20.4 million in 2028. If he has a big year, he will opt out of his contract. Guarantee you that one. Guarantee it. He will opt out. He's going to opt out if he has a big year. And that'll be very interesting to see. And no one's talking about it. I mean, one of the reasons nobody's talking about it is because he loves the ownership here. So that's the one thing I think that why people don't talk about it much. Just look at a couple other things here. Other than the Philly series, he's actually pitched pretty well in postseason. Pitched well against the Brewers in the one game. Came in the 8th inning, if I remember right. He got the win. And then he came in the NLDS. He had a lousy NLDS. Pitched 2 games. Did not look good. But pitched well against the Dodgers. And had a save. He had 2 saves in the last postseason. But his numbers in the postseason are not bad. In a short sample of 8 games that he's pitched for the Mets in 2022 and 23. But again, he will opt out if he has a big year. So that's something to keep an eye on with the Mets. And what kind of year he's going to have. Baseball Reference says he's going to have 11 saves. I don't know about that. And let's say how many games he's going to pitch in. That's very low. But I expect him to have a big year. That's a guy to keep an eye on that people aren't talking about. But big night tonight. Let's re-sign Pete Alonso. I'm happy. I know you're happy. And now a guy like Salicata has to eat crow. Big time, stone cold crow. Ha ha. Oh, let me know what you think about this if you're watching on replay. Gonna end the live stream here. I haven't done too many live streams. Can't ever tell, but this was a big night. That's got that polar bear back. The hibernation is over. The hibernation is over. We have our polar bear. Turn out the lights. The party's over. Well, the party's not over. It hasn't begun yet. I think opening day is the 26th of March next month. Next month. And spring training's next week. And the polar bear's back. It's going to snow here tonight, tomorrow. A little bit. And I think next week, too, a couple days. But it's spring here. And it's baseball. But thank you for watching this live stream. Back in the near future. Hope you like this video. Hit the like button before you go if you're watching on replay. Leave comments in the comments section. Have a good night. I'll see you later.